Hello, and today we're going to have a look at Cthulhu Wars Onslaught 3. So this is kind of the main boxed bits, but there's also a whole load of extras that you potentially could have got. So yeah, that could be fun trying to do all of this. So the main thing, obviously a new map, the Shaggai, the Ancients, a new faction, a pretty cool little mini expansion Beyond Time and Space, which has a lovely Hound of Tindalas, and then the Mask of nyarlathotep. Yes, the unpronounceable names. So Onslaught 3 is pretty good. Now in here I've also got an envelope which came with some Errata. So apparently they misprinted some of the cards. So I actually got this about a week before everything else arrived. So yes, Onslaught 3. I'm not going to spend too much time looking at it. It's basically just the new rule book with all the extras, including, for example, the Ancients. What's probably much more interesting to people is actually having a look at the Ancients and the boxes. As regards to all these funky boxes, let me just grab one, all these sort of things. I'm not so sure when I'm going to get around to filming all those, but I do want to talk about something that is very bizarre. Petersen Games obviously are cultists, because this little box here, Cthulhu Wars U12, actually contains a load of figures, and if I get it out the box, look how big this bag is, full of cultists, and they somehow managed to squeeze it into this box here, and this box is not fit for purpose in my opinion. There's a high chance some of these are going to get bent, so what I'm actually going to do is use one of the bigger boxes once I've unboxed it all, and that will take care of that. And the biggest problem I'm having with Cthulhu Wars right now is just how much space it takes up. It's ridiculous. Anyway, let's have a look at one of these boxes. I think we'll start with the Ancients. So as you can see here on the back, you're going to get 19 high quality figures, including these weird like skeleton dudes, funky people, the little kind of temples, what are they, cathedrals, and some Yothians, and they don't per se have an old one, so that could be a bit funky, and there's a load of info here telling you all about that, and it's got a recommended retail of around $50. Be interesting to see whether this makes it into retail or whether it's just going to be available from the Petersen Games website, because a lot of the Cthulhu Wars stuff is getting a bit out of print now, so there is possibly going to be an Onslaught 4, which would be, I guess, a reprint to Kickstarter. Anyway, let's get this shrink wrap off. Well, as you come to expect with Cthulhu Wars, each version they do a slight upgrade. So we've got the rulebook there for the Ancients, but look at this, faction boards with actually decent thick, finally thick info sheets, a nice little bit of info on the back there, your spell books, and then of course the bit that most of us are interested in, for example, cathedrals, so the minis. Yeah, they look pretty nice. Bit of a weird storage system. Okay, I see, they're meant to go upright. We've then got our little doodads in here, and then I believe these are the Yothians here, these sort of dragon-like creatures, and these would be great in a D&D or sci-fi or anything. So the good thing about Cthulhu Wars being 25mm is it's really good for using in D&D campaigns or other RPGs where you happen to use miniatures. So these guys are pretty cool. These are the weird skeleton-y type things with their little mechanical devices on, and then these are the humanist type people. So yeah, hopefully that's showing up. The blue is actually proving a little bit tricky to pick out the details. So yeah, they're looking quite nice. Do like them. And then here they are, these kind of weird spidery four-legged things. Seem fairly robust despite looking a little bit fragile. So oh yes, then we got our little power track thing. There you go. So we got those bits there. So how many of these we got? We got quite a few. Let's just lay these guys down here, and as you can see, They're all your sort of 28mm size guys. And then you got 3 of these big dragon guys, which if I put them next to these more human size guys, you can see they're pretty impressive. And then sadly an outer scale cathedral, and you get 4 of those. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Anyway, there you go, that's the contents of that box. Now looking at the actual ancient setup, they've got a dematerialization, doom phase ability, relocate any or all of your units from one area to a single other area. That's pretty good, jump around. Set up after all other factions other than the Chocho, the Windwalker and the Opener. They get 8 power, 6 acolytes and a controlled gate in any area containing no game symbols. That's pretty cool. You may still place in an area containing one of the Yellow Sign 3 spellbook glyphs if desired. The acolytes are going to cost you 1. The unmen are going to cost you 3. They give you, by the looks of it, Spellbook Festival maybe. The reanimated, 4 cost, 2 combat. If you get brainless, they only cost you 1. The Yothians cost you 6, 3 with extinction, combat of 7 and spellbook extinction. And then your cathedral costs you 3, 1 if not adjacent to another cathedral, so that's pretty cool. And you may use the create gate action to create a cathedral, and that gives you potentially spellbooks, worship services, consecration, unholy ground. And if all the cathedrals are in play, you may awaken an independent Great Old One without your own Great Old One. Okay, that's pretty cool. And when awakening Cthulhu, 6 power. So if you place in various symboled areas, you get spellbooks. So cathedral, 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 and cathedral. As your action, each enemy summons their lowest cost monster at their control gate for free. So basically you give someone a free monster, and the highest cost monster at their control gate for free. So it's going to be pretty easy to get all your spellbooks. So yeah, that's a weird faction here. So you're giving players an ability to get going, and you're obviously trying to build a cathedral where other cults are. So yeah, very funky, and obviously nice to see this thick cardstock finally come into Cthulhu Wars. It's been something that's been asked for an absolute age, and they're finally doing it. The rulebook obviously is sort of a little bit redundant because it's got lovely artwork and all that. Oh dear, dedication to Eric there who died. So contents, setup, playing, thwarting them, frequently asked questions. So yeah, that's all good stuff, but you know, we don't need to worry about that. We've got the main rulebook. So that was the Ancients for Cthulhu Wars. For our next video, we're going to look at Beyond Time and Space, which back and front are printed upside down to each other. So you're going to get 3 loyalty cards, 7 high quality fully assembled figures, a Hound of Tinderlass, 4 Womps and 2 Vunith, and then this is just basically a monster pack. So sort of your classic neutral add-ons. A little bit annoying that the box sort of is done that way. That just doesn't seem right to me, but there you go. We've got everything out of the box. Obviously the Hound is the big highlight, but the Womps, these are really creepy looking things. My only slight concern with them is they've got quite a small base, so they are a little bit tippy potential. I do wonder if they would have been better off on a bigger base or being a bit smaller, but they're probably okay. But yeah, I suppose you could always drill a hole in the bottom and stick a little bit of weighting material in there if you get really concerned. Then we got the Vunith, who are these really cool sort of D&D style young T serpent type things. Really like the look of those. But yeah, by far the highlight is this wonderful Hound of Tinderlass, which would be great for like Resident Evil fans, I guess. Really suitably creepy, and bearing in mind this thing's probably a little bit bigger than a 28mm figure. I mean, it's big and scary, and yeah, you could see why you don't want one of these hunting you down. These are all neutral monsters. Having said that, yeah, the Hound is a terror. So pay 2 doom and 2 power to obtain this loyalty card. Place it at any gate. Costs you 4, combat 4. Chronophage and Angles of Time, so cannot perform the move action by itself. It moves for free whenever you move any other unit. and angles of time. The hound cannot be assigned a kill in battle. However, if the hound is ever in an area without a gate, it's eliminated. So yeah, okay, it's funky. Now I haven't actually checked if these are the cards that had the error. So these are what come in the box, so some of these might have some errors. The Vunith, pay 2 Doom, and then place a Vunith at a control gate, cost 3, combat 1. Post-battle, for each kill you scored, fewer than the number of Vuniths involved in the battle, add a kill. So basically they give you a free kill as long as you've rolled a kill by the looks of it. And then the Womps, pay 2 Doom, choose an enemy to place all 4 Womps in an area without a gate, cost 1, combat 0. Choose an enemy to place all Womps from your pool into any area or areas without a gate. Okay, I'm going to need to work out why we want to do that. Choose an enemy to place all 4 Womps in an area. Choose an enemy to place... They've got no combat. I guess maybe they're stuff that can, you know, take damage for you and get eliminated. Anyway, I'll have to look up exactly what's going on with these guys. Struggling to understand that power at this stage, but I'm sure it'd be quite funky. But yeah, the hound, yeah, lovely. So we're going to have a look at the masks next, and again, a bit like the one with the Hound of Tyndalus, this has got that rotating box format rather than your more traditional layout, so you have to actually spin the box. This has 12 miniatures: the Bloated Woman, the Shadow Pharaoh, the Haunter of the Dark, and 9 Dark Demons. Now, that definitely is a card that has an errata. So, yeah. Right, let's get this box open. So this is what you got in the box, and I do want to remind you that the Dark Demon cards definitely part of the errata pack. So this is what's coming in the box. So you got the Dark Demon Terror, so there's that. The Shadow Pharaoh with the Dark Demon on the back. So I think that's why they've got the errata. I haven't actually opened up the errata pack. You've then got this rather nice hard card here where you've got the independent old ones of the Bloated Woman and the Haunter of the Dark. So Haunter of the Dark, the Bloated Woman, the Dark Pharaoh, and then you'll notice the Dark Demons all have weird little 3-legged sort of orky crab men. The Dark Pharaoh's pretty cool. It's this sort of sphinxy like undead scorpion man thing. The Bloated Woman is fantastically gribbly. She'd work quite well as well, apart from the fan, I guess, but she'd work quite well in a GW game, I suppose. If you were a real cool modder, you would modify this fan into a sword or something. But yeah, she'd work really well as a Nurglin sort of creature. And then this really cool 3-eyed vampire bat, and being 3-eyed again, that would work really well in 40k as well. So I'm always looking at alternative uses for these figures as well. So that's really cool. So I'm not going to spend too much time looking at the faulty cards, these things here. So let's have a look at the Haunter in the Dark. Well, it does actually give you a spell book, as does the Bloated Witch. So you've got an Awaken, Death, Spellbook, and Doom Phase bit, and how to awaken it. So your controlled gate is in an area with your Great Old One. Pay 6 power and place the Haunter of the Dark in the area containing the gate. You can pay 5 power and place the Haunter of the Dark at one of your controlled gates. And each other faction takes an Elder Sign. Okay. Crawling Chaos doesn't need a Great Old One in the area into which it awakens. Combat equal to the total number of spellbooks earned by your enemy. Oh, okay. And then Flyby Light post-battle. If the enemy scored exactly 1 kill, it must be applied to the Haunter. If you score 2 or more kills, you can apply kills as per normal, and you pay 1 power to get the spellbook. So that's interesting. If in a battle involving the Haunter, your enemy must roll a die for each of his units present. For every 6 rolled, he must choose and eliminate one of his own units. Okay, and then the Bloated Woman, so Awakening, Death, Spellbook, etc. So the Bloated Woman, if your control gate is in an area with your Great Old One, pay 4 power, place her there. Pay 3 power, place the Bloated Woman at one of your gates, and then each other faction receives an Elder Sign, so very similar there. The Velvet Fan. After any battle involving the Bloated Woman, choose 1 killed or eliminated enemy monster or cultist and place it on this card. That unit is considered out of play. If a unit is later recruited or summoned from this card, his owner pays its power directly to you. So that's pretty cool. And if you've got all 6 faction spellbooks, you then get the Bloated Woman's one. Your control gates now earn 1 Elder Sign instead of 2 power. they still earn 1 doom during the doom phase. So yeah, that's a pretty cool expansion, and I really like these minis, and it's quite cool that they've come in all these different flavours as well. So we'll have to have a look at the Errata pack to work out what these guys do. Anyway, that's that box. So this is the Errata cards. So the Shadow Pharaoh is now a Terror rather than a Dark Demon. And then the Dark Demon has all of its stuff on one thing. So obviously when they printed it, you know, this back went with there, and then, you know, this back went with there, and so they got it all mucked up. So in the Doom phase, when it's your turn to perform a Ritual of Annihilation, pay 2 Doom and 2 power to obtain this loyalty card and place it at a controlled gate. You can still perform the ritual. In the Doom phase, when it's your turn to perform a ritual, pay 2 power to obtain this loyalty card, place it there. That's if you're crawling chaos. Costs you 4, combat of 2. Gates may not be controlled by any factions in the Shadow Pharaoh's area. When the Shadow Pharaoh enters any area, any occupying unit immediately abandons the gate. Yog-Sothoth is unaffected by this, and that is a Terror. The Dark Demon, in the Doom phase, when it's your turn to perform a ritual, you may pay 2 Doom to obtain this loyalty card. Place the Dark Demon matching your faction's colour anywhere on the map. If you wish, you may also do the ritual. Each of the other factions permanently lose an acolyte from their pools and adds a Dark Demon. If Crawling Chaos obtains this loyalty card, the rules above still apply, but the card cost is now 0 Doom. When the other factions permanently lose, you also gain an Elder Sign. Okay, cool. Cost 1, combat 0. Any faction with a Dark Demon in its pool cannot take any action other than recruiting the Dark Demon. Metamorph. Dark Demons are a new type of cultist and are treated as cultists in every way, but they produce 0 power. They are recruited rather than summoned, so a controlled gate is not needed to bring them into play. Dark Demons may create and control gates, and they're worth 1 power when captured. They can be targeted by anything that references cultists, but not acolytes. So, yeah, they're sort of weird, like, I guess, possess an acolyte and replace them sort of bit. I'm not sure why we got 2 sides to this. It just seems to say the same thing on both sides by the looks of it. Anyway, there you go. So that is the corrected cards. Well, the final sort of retail style box is the Shaggai map. So this is always cool to get a nice map. And this contains your rulebook, a 3 to 5 player map, 5 degradation dice, 5 hint cards, and 21 miniatures, including these sort of meteor strike explosions, which are pretty cool. So apparently they are eradication markers, and you also get 6 worms of Groth. So yeah, pretty cool. So the planet of Shaggai, which is doomed, and this is a Ramsey Campbell part of the mythos. And one downside to these beautiful black boxes is, as you can see in shipping, this has got a slight dink in the corner. It's not really going to affect much, but it is a slight irritation to get something brand new and have this slight damage. Anyway, let's get inside the box. So inside we've got the map, rule pack, so contents, how it all works. You'll notice it's got this weird sort of beehive-ish sort of pattern, your frequently asked questions, some cool artwork, lovely. These sort of hexagons look pretty big, and oh, this is tricksy to get out. This is really tightly packed. Right, let me put the camera down. Well, I managed to get the map out. I think the box needed to be about 2 mil bigger because that was pretty tricksy to get out. And as you can see, it's got some quite nice quality printing, although it's still got this funky colour scheme that Sandy went for with Cthulhu Wars, which when you're actually playing, it actually looks quite good. It helps with readability. And as you can see here, we've got the Spheres of Groth and Spheres of Groth and weird planets and everything. So that's the 3-player map. And I'm not going to fold it out, it's just too big and I don't have enough time to get everything set up, but this is just purely sort of a quick unboxing video. Anyway, let's stop looking and drooling over the map and have a look at the other bits that come in the box. Well, these dice are actually really nice, very good quality, nice and readable. These are the worms. You get quite a few of these. They're suitably great. And then these are the funky explosions, and yeah, these are quite sharp. I think you could easily injure yourself if you stepped on those, so don't drop them on the floor. And I've left the rest in the box. We've also got this little bit here, so let's get that open. So as you can see here, you get hopefully enough for each player to have a hint card, and the first player takes any worm and puts in the worm that gnaws area, I guess that's meant to say. Yes. So move, cosmic power, degrade the worms, place new worms, and then a pretty picture on the back. So yeah, pretty cool. Anyway, as you can see, that is pretty much it for the official bits. The only thing really, I guess, to talk about now is Onslaught 3, the rulebook, and then we can maybe have a look at all of the extra boxes in another video. Well, this book's over 200 pages. It includes pretty much all the stuff that's now out for Cthulhu Wars. I don't think there's anything missing. You've got the nice introduction bit, so you've got the printed components of the actual base box, and then the various factions, so Cthulhu, the Yellow Sign, Crawling Chaos. Crawling Chaos? Yeah, a bit of a typo there. Obviously this is Shub-Niggurath. Then how to set it up, game basics, spellbook, Elder Signs, the action phase, so on and so forth. So that's all very much as per the original rulebook. So we've got quite a lot of explanation here about how to play, which is pretty good to see. Victory, how to end and win the game, that's pretty important. Then we have how to play and defeat the various factions. So Cthulhu, Yellow Sign, Crawling Chaos. Does it say Black Goat? Yes, so good. Some 2-player rules, and then we're into the additional factions. So we've got the Ancients, how to set them up. Yeah, great. The Opener of the Way. The Sleeper, really like, was it Sothogu, is it? Sothogu, yeah. Choo Choo, I believe this is the new corrected set of rules. The Choo Choo have been a problematic faction. A lot of people don't like them. I think they were quite easy to win with when they first came out, but people worked out how to defeat them, but they just become sort of a boring faction to play and play against. So hopefully those new rules have helped that a bit. The Windwalker, that's a pretty cool and strong faction. Then we got the neutral monsters, so the Dreamlands, the Cosmic Terrors, the Worms of Grath, Brown Jenkin, the Cacodemon, the independent old ones. So there's a whole load of them ones. So you got old one, pack 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then the independent faction for your actual great old ones themselves. Then Dire Cthulhu, Dire Azasoth, and Nodens. Then mixed expansion, so Azasoth himself. The Masks, Beyond Time and Space, Ramsey, Campbell, Horrors 1 and 2. The High Priests, although bear in mind these guys have also got this slightly different ones that came out due to the recent game for Evil High Priest. So you've got unique ones. Then the alternative faction Acolytes. The Prophetess, who I believe was the original Kickstarter, and then H.P. Lovecraft himself, although Eddie On, is it? Handicap Acolytes, so these are guys that kind of don't work quite well. Investigators, so Investigators, if I remember correctly, are Planet Apocalypse. Then Colours Out of Time and Space, with the rules for that. Then the Shining Trapezoid, which is a pretty cool expansion, in particular, I think, for the filth markers, the slightly nicer desecration markers, and the brain cylinders. The Elder Signs, well, I've got some 3D printed ones, so I prefer. So then we got the Eradicators, Lovecraft's Bust, Unnameable Set, the various dice, neutral unit identifiers, and then the additional maps. So as you can see, it's quite a lot now for Cthulhu Wars, Dreamlands. The Library at Selenio, Primeval, which has the cool ice feature, the Shaggai, the newest map, and quite a lot of rules about that. A little bit of a complex thing. The Yuggoth map. So again, quite a lot about that one. Then your extra large maps, so your 6 to 8 player maps, and then the oversized 3 to 5 player Earth map, which I think is great because one of my criticisms is some of the maps, space can get a bit tight. Then a FAQ, which is quite extensive for all the various factions. Then I think we round up with the designer notes, and then some credits and some pretty artwork. So there you go, that was a whistle-stop tour through all the, what I would call official products. So all we've got left now, as I mentioned earlier, is to go through the cardboardy type of expansions, some of which have been spoiled by looking in this rulebook. I'm not so sure when I'm going to look at these, but I just wanted to get this video out because this literally just arrived a day or two ago, and it's basically taken up a huge amount of my dining table at the moment, and I need to work out where on earth I'm going to store it all, because I've got a room already full of Petersen Games stuff, and God's War still hasn't arrived yet, so that's a little bit of a worry. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that very quick unbox and look at Onslaught 3 Part 1. Part 2, as I'm afraid, might be delayed until May. We'll see. If I can get time before that, I will obviously get that video out ASAP. But until the next video, happy gaming.